Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm UX Maria, and today we're playing The Rising. But more importantly, we're going to be discussing the assassination attempt on the former President Donald Trump. Now, I'm discussing this because the assassination attempt happened where I live. I live in Butler, Pennsylvania, and yes, I'm doxing myself, but I think this is important. I live in Butler, Pennsylvania. The venue is literally 3 blocks from my house. And my mom and some other family members were at the rally, and I also was supposed to be at the rally, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I want to discuss what actually happened and how I found out about it and everything. So, I was supposed to go to the rally. And first of all, let me say that the fact that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump is disgusting. The fact that innocent civilians, people that are, the fact that anyone was injured or killed is disgusting. The man who was killed was a fireman. He's part of the community I live in. And honestly, anything, it's just so terrible. And also I feel so terrible for their families, and even I feel terrible for their families, anyone who was injured, anyone who was related to anyone who was killed or injured. And then I also feel terrible for Donald Trump, because that if you look at a diagram they've been circulating around recently, that if he hadn't turned his head, it would have killed him. The shooter had now put all these people in to this very unsafe, and it just sucks all around, really. Okay, so let me get down to what actually happened the day of for me. And no, this isn't about me, but I wanted to give a different perspective of someone who didn't watch the news and found out other ways. Okay, so I was supposed to go. A couple days before the event, my mom came home. She was really excited, and she said that, hey, Donald Trump's going to be coming to Butler, literally the farm show grounds, which is 3 blocks from my house. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And I actually got really excited too. And I'm a huge fan of anything political. Even if it was someone who I wasn't a fan of coming to speak, I probably would have gone too, because any former president, that's historical. So I was super excited to go see a former president in person speak. So I got my ticket and I was ready to go, and then they send you a bunch of emails after you sign up for the rally, and it tells you what you're not allowed to bring, all this stuff. It said this whole list of things from that the Secret Service say you can't bring, but they're oh, you can bring bags this size, this size, this size, smaller things. But the venue itself said that no one's allowed to bring any bags or any purses. And I was oh, okay, that's actually going to be an issue, because I take medicine. I need my purse for stuff. That's going to make it really uncomfortable. Not only that, you can't bring chairs. You can't bring literally anything. It said you can bring a clear water bottle. And that they did offer, you were allowed to buy food, and they gave free water at the venue, which is awesome. Okay, so me not being able to bring my purse is a huge issue for me. And I know that sounds very stupid, but it just is. So that, and the fact that it was 90 degrees that day, there was no shade, I decided I wasn't going to go, because that's too much for me. So my mom, because I live so close to the venue, my mom, my uncle, her friend, and some other relatives came and all parked in my driveway and walked over to the venue. Now, I still was a little upset because the conditions of the situation weren't conducive to my health issues, but I still really wanted to be there. So my mom felt bad, so she kept, like, during the whole time she was there, she kept FaceTiming me and calling me and, showing the crowd, this and that. But, okay, so the first, like, hour or two that they were there, they were in line that whole time. So, like, she, would FaceTime from the line, and, so anyway, they finally get into the venue. Oh, also, what I was saying is, on the sheet for the invite, it was you had to be there no later than 2:30 p.m., but Trump wasn't going to arrive until 5 p.m. So that's like a whole lot of time where you don't have medication, you don't have, like all that stuff. So that's, you can't bring your purse. That's my whole thing. So anyway, so a lot of people were stuck in the sun without any shade for a while, and people started fainting, and there were there were paramedics there and everything. And my mom called me and told me, like, there was, like, one person that passed out in the line, taking care of it. So after that, she gets into my family and everyone gets into the line. They get allowed into the area, and Trump didn't show up until, I think, around 6, my mom said. During that course of the time, she would FaceTime me, and the service was really, really bad. She kept trying to FaceTime me, and then it kept failing, all this. So anyway, she said it was a really good time. There was a lot of music. Everyone was, just vibing. Around, like, 5 something, and I was like, oh, has Trump arrived yet? And she said no. So he hadn't arrived. So then I got busy with other stuff, and then I get a text from her that said there's someone shooting, then something else. Hold on, let me look that up. Actually, I still have the text. Okay, I found the text messages from that day. It started off with, she said at 12:40, got a Trump button, be thankful you didn't come. And I said, why? And she said, cattle. I've been standing in the line since 12:30. Now, she texted this at 2:09, and she said, we're still not at the gate. So that she sent a few pictures of grounds, the American flag hanging, and I said, it looks cool. And she sent a picture of the crowd, and she was so close to the podium. So then she tried to FaceTime me, and her finger was covering the camera, and I was like, I can hear you. And she said, did you see the video? And I just said, and then she did another one. I said, yes. When I called, it worked. So she said, call me again. And okay, so we did, like, she tried to call me like 30 times. So I tried to, like, answer, and something just wasn't working, whether the service was bad or not. And then she said, paramedics are here. There's a lady having a problem. And this is what I mentioned earlier, where a lady passed out because of the heat. Then she sent me a picture of the button she got. And then she said, Mamma Mia group, what's their name? And I said, ABBA. This was at 5:11. And I said, take a picture of Trump. And she said, he's not out yet. And a little bit later, she said, not yet. We're still waiting. I don't know how to do it. Oh, that was after she tried to do some more FaceTiming. And then she said a little bit later, he's still not out. I'm going home. And I said, is he there? And she said, I'm fine. Shooting, I am fine. They're still trying to catch him. And I was like, what? I thought she had mistyped, because I was like, she didn't call during this period. We had a bunch of calls, like, earlier. But around this time, I think it was like 6 o'clock, she hadn't tried to call. So I was like, if there was a shooting, like, she would have called. Like, regular call, not FaceTime. And then she called me. The call wasn't working. Like, she couldn't hear me, apparently. So I could hear her, though, and she was telling guy she brought with her that my phone number, so she could call him, like, so he could call from his phone. So I heard her tell him that my phone number, and then I immediately got a call from him. I picked up, it was her, and she said that she wanted to text me and let me know that they were fine if I was watching the news, and I wasn't. Immediately, get on the news, and I can't find it anywhere because it just happened in real life. So I'm searching everywhere, and the only one who had it reported was the Daily Mail. So I went to the Daily Mail and saw the video. Apparently, so when they got home, they told me, like, what they experienced and what happened. So they heard popping, just like the news said. They were like right in front of Trump. They heard popping. He went down. Obviously, everything you saw in the video is what happened, because it's just a straight shot video. There aren't any cuts in it. The one that's circulating in the news. So yeah, she said that when there was popping and Trump went down, she also went down where a lot of people didn't. After like a few shots were fired and they stopped, like people started getting up, and you can see that in the video. A lot of people didn't even get down. And she was like, what if he starts open spraying the crowd? And then they're like, oh, we didn't think of that. So like my uncle and them, everyone got back down. You don't know, because like if someone's trying to assassinate the president, and if they don't like Trump that much, they're probably going to like try and shoot his followers too. Like that's not out of the wheelhouse for this situation. And my mom was really fucking smart for thinking that. Luckily, he didn't start he was killed immediately, but we don't know. He could have planned on spraying everyone. So anyway, yeah, a lot of people I know were there. No one was allowed to leave for a while. Okay, so something interesting that I do have that no one's really talked about this is the fact that because I live locally, there was someone who had been listening or has a transcript of the police blotter, which I think is the term, where they could hear all the police like call-ins and stuff. So like I have a transcript of that. I found the blotter like transcript. I have not confirmed whether this is real or not. So at 1811, shots fired at the rally. All EMS personnel being recalled to medical command. Farm show grounds are being fully evacuated. 1814, faculty on lockdown per Butler control. 1815, GSW, which is gunshot wound at the stage. Patient will be transported directly to ambulance unit. 1816, ESU medic to the stage. Medical command from 1001, we need a UTV to transport a patient. 1817, medic unit to the left side of the stage for a gunshot wound, unsure how many patients. 1818, ambulance to stand by at the gate, units are transporting a gunshot wound. 1819, second gunshot wound reported. 1822, 9921 reports he has 2 units en route and 1 standing by. 1824, engine 12 to set up to land a helicopter. Sounds like they're landing in the back of the grounds. 1826, 2 aircraft. 1827, LF3, which is Life Flight 3 and Life Flight 4, both approximately 15 minutes. Life Flight 3 already airborne out of the Indiana County Airport, and Life Flight 4 airborne from KVTP. Life Flight 4 is on the ground. Okay, this is a little bit later, 1833. Life Flight 4 is on the ground at the farm show. 1834, TV news crews are being rushed off stage by Secret Service. 1835, Butler Memorial Hospital is on full diversion. 1840, NBC News reports that they heard the shooter is down. 1841, Life Flight 3 overheard. 1843, Life Flight 3 is on the ground. 1845, EMS is being dispatched for a male in the vicinity with an injury from jumping over a fence. 1849, Life Flight 4 is airborne towards Pittsburgh. 1852, medical units are being moved around now, responding to several various calls. No additional gunshot wounds reported. 1853, control is relaying the incident to command. A report of a female down in the parking lot, unknown problem. 1855, command is advised that there are 6 EMS units on standby for the immediate area. Command is requesting 1 respond to handle the female down. 1857, Life Flight 3 is departing towards Pittsburgh. 1901, all EMS agencies in the county advised BMH, which is the Butler Memorial Hospital, which is very close, is on full diversion until further notice. 1908. Per command, no need for additional aircraft. 1920. To answer some concerns, yes, the helicopter circling BMH since 1909 is PSP. 1924. One patient with PD at this stage needs EMS evaluation, unclear. 1930. All units on standby are released. 20. North Hills SRT is requesting a medical unit from command. 2003, tactical team at AGR is requesting EMS assistance with a deceased individual. So that is the transcript that was posted on a local news Facebook group for our city. If you don't know, if you don't live in the area, okay, so there's Butler Memorial Hospital, which is a very good hospital, especially for like heart transplant, stuff like that. And that's around 11 minutes from the venue. Now, Allegheny General Hospital is a Trauma 1 center, and they're very good for the most part. And they're about 33 minutes away from the venue. So Trump was reported later that he was taken to Butler, which makes sense for the issues that he had, and everyone else was taken to Allegheny because they had like very, first of all, Trump was checked out, I believe, before he even left the venue. He was pulled into the vehicle and they had people check, like the EMS check him out. So then they determined, take him to Butler Memorial Hospital. And everyone else was immediately life-flighted. Anyone shot was immediately life-flighted to Allegheny, which was the correct move. Like, those choices were correct. So, yeah, I have a little bit of experience with life flight because last year, around this same time, ironically, my dad had a stroke, and he couldn't move his body, and he was rushed to the hospital, and they had to life flight him to Allegheny General. And that's pretty much the standard. Like, if something happens, that's very, like, something very, like, a huge emergency. They immediately life flight you to Allegheny. So, they did a good job with that, from my perspective. Okay, so after my family returned back to my house, they weren't totally sure what happened because they were there. That doesn't mean they saw, like, they didn't see what I'd already seen, which is, like, the full-on video, like, no cuts of, the camera that was on Trump because he started his speech. So I sat on the porch with him, and I had my phone, and I showed him the Daily Mail video of, like, the straight-on, like, shots of there was only one camera angle, and it wasn't cut. It was just that whole angle the whole time. Because it was like a live feed. So I showed them what happened, and everyone was still confused at that point. The majority of people reacted correctly, horrified that this happened. Obviously, no one should get injured. No one should get hurt, especially for their political beliefs. I don't care how much you hate a politician. Absolutely not. Death is not the answer. Scarring people, innocent people around, that's not the answer. Shooting is never the answer, okay? So, anyway, after I am a huge history buff, I'm huge into politics, so that night I spent, my time watching as many videos as I could get, like, any angle, I watched all of them, and then, like, a little bit later, I was like, okay, I watched everything, and then I started seeing people post, like, TikToks and videos about how, like, really, really, really disturbing things, like how younger people on TikTok are mad that the shooter missed, and I'm sure everyone's seen them at this point because it's been a few days, but, like, there are now compilations of people reacting to videos of people being so upset about them not killing Trump, and I think that's fucking disgusting. Okay, like, I'm a Republican, and that has nothing to do with how I feel about this. I know it's hard to believe that like, the left is, oh my gosh, the left is fucking unhinged at this point. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Um, okay, so then I started, watching more and more videos and seeing what, like, the climate was really like, because, like, for me, everyone in our community was coming together to support, the people injured, the people that were there, the people that were traumatized, and, like, the guy that was killed was a local firefighter, and everyone's, like, rallied around their family, and, because I'm in, like, local Facebook groups and stuff like that, like, I'm seeing, like, all the posts from, the family that was, hurt and all this stuff. So, obviously, they did a GoFundMe, and they ended up raising millions of dollars for the family, which is amazing, but also that loss is just so traumatic, and I'm so sorry that happened, and I know what it's like to lose your father so quickly and drastically like that, but being there and, like, the trauma of, like, him protecting you and then him dying on you is just unparalleled, and no one should have to go through that. Obviously, I don't care what your political leanings are. No one should have to go through that, and then no one should have to go through that and then see people online say things like, "Oh, he missed," like, or he should, too bad they didn't finish the job or whatever, because, like, those shots, like, that's not a joke. That's not a fucking joke. So now, at the end of all this, where do we stand? Where does our country stand? Well, we may not know necessarily where we stand, but we do, most of us stand together at this moment. And it was a big turning point in our American history and in the history of politics and everything. And it definitely changed the climate politically and everything in the dynamic between Trump and Biden. And the next episode I'm going to put out is going to discuss how we actually got to this specific moment. What I think led to the point where there are young people on TikTok upset that Trump didn't die, why there was a 20-year-old who shot at the president. And because I did some research, I watched a lot of videos, and I think there is an actual reason why people have reached this point here. And it mainly has to do with trying to get people to vote. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching my video today and listening to me ramble on forever. And I'll see you next time.